Hello, Z94.
Hey, Wild Bill, this is Lee Greenwood.
Lee Greenwood, it's so good to talk with you. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Thanks for stopping by South Georgia today.
Hey, you're welcome. Every time I go down there through Perry and on the way to Florida, I always think about all the people around your area and how they're going to vote.
You need a search party to find a Democrat around here. Oh, God bless the USA, that's for sure. That is for sure. Lee, when you first came out with that song 30 years ago, did you ever dream it was going to be just as huge as it is today?
Well, you know, we go in the studio to record songs for hits. We never come out of the studio and say that's not a hit. Well, maybe once or twice. But most of the time, of the 34 albums that I've recorded, I'm proud of all the music and proud of all the songs. U.S.A. was one that I wrote, and maybe I write only about 20% of my music. And so, you know, you're kind of thrilled with the fact that it's your baby. But I wasn't really sure that the song had such impetus, such power until I got it on stage. And once I knew that I'd touched the hearts of the American people, it began to grow. And it wasn't anything I did as far as exposing it or advertising it. It was just a momentum that it gained from the people who bought the record, who talked about the record, and talked about the song. Of course, in 1985, Song of the Year in Nashville at the CMA. And as we move on through Katrina, through the attack in 2001 on America, there's always been those moments when USA becomes into the forefront to inspire and unify the country.
And I don't know any other song that was released 30 years ago and then re-released and then it's back on the charts, like God Bless the USA was right around the time during 9/11.
Well, that's fortuitous, of course, for me, but I'm just proud that it is there. I'm proud that it has served that purpose. And I'm proud that I still can sing it, and I do live every night.
You got a book that is raising a lot of eyebrows. Does Still God Bless the USA? What made you want to write that book?
Well, I thought it was time, and this is not something I timed for the election, by the way. It took us a year to get this done and released. My wife and I pored over the paragraphs every night, and it was just really tough. She also wrote the Prayers of a Patriot, which is a month calendar in the back of the book. It was just my inspiration talking about I didn't want to get over 9/11 yet. I wanted to remember why we're at war in Afghanistan and Iraq and fighting terrorism all over the world. It's kind of like communism, but this group of people, these terrorists, radicals, they do not have a flag or a country, so it's going to make it a little harder to find all of them. But the book was a work of, you know, a love. We've been invited on an unprecedented event for the National Book Fair as a non-author, November 13th in Washington, D.C., to expose the book. So there'll be an awful lot of press about it then. But currently it's available on our website. Does God Still Bless the USA? An eternal question.
I'm hoping to see you in a few more Sean Hannity interviews. I'm a big fan of his TV show and his radio show, and I know you've done a lot with him, especially all the different concerts that you've put on with him.
Yeah, Sean's a good friend, and as a matter of fact, Fox is a good friend of mine. You know, we do an awful lot with them, and they cover every event that I ask them to cover. We did the Freedom Alliance concerts for 4 years out on the road, which raised an awful lot of money for soldiers, and that's kind of the thing that's the emphasis in my life. In addition to my normal concerts, we do an awful lot for soldiers.
I was very blown away that the school PS90 in New York tried to ban your song from a kindergarten graduation. You know, a lot of times that kind of stuff gets you angry, but it really saddens you, and it just kind of makes you worry about our country and worry about where we're at with our country and are we losing our freedoms.
Well, maybe just New York, but a lot of those public schools have a mix of people, and to tell you the truth, most of them are American patriots. I mean, I don't care where they come from some other country. We're a melting pot, and New York is certainly a microcosm of that melting pot. But this particular teacher, and backed up by the superintendent of the schools, had some kind of agenda, and so she was trying to, change the opinion of these young minds, and the parents went berserk, and so they kind of defended their kids and defended me at the same time. As a result, however, at the very end of that, the tail end of that, when the graduation took place, the kids went out in the front lawn and sang God Bless USA because they wouldn't allow the teacher would not allow them to sing it in the school. And that was a wonderful thing, but some of the local candidates stood outside and tried to make it some to their benefit by putting up banners, elect me, elect me. And I thought that was just in poor taste. But the overall opinion of playing God Bless USA at a school has been done since I released it in 1983.
Wow. Wow.
All the kids know it, and they know me because of it. So that kind of helps me.
Your book, you mentioned about an immigration officer that contacted you. Tell me about how God Bless the USA has been incorporated into immigration ceremonies.
It's played every time there's an induction ceremony. I've just been asked to do the Today Show when they have 16 people live who are going to become sworn in as citizens of the United States. And let me see if I can call up that date. It's coming up pretty soon in New York. It's the 16th of November on the Today Show. So interesting that you would mention that. I got that call yesterday. They play it everywhere in the United States that they have that ceremony.
I understand that the military has actually used that song. Tell me about the DMZ in Korea where they use your song during a gas exercise, and explain to folks what that's all about who are unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, people who are in the Army and they have that gas exercise, it's because they were so afraid of North Korea going to send poisonous gas across the border. So they had this training exercise. They had to put on a gas mask, and it was over when they played God Bless the USA. So we're so really glad to hear the song. And I've been to the ZMZ twice. So has my wife on a former trip because she was Miss Tennessee at the time, and it was a pageant trip, and they went to Korea, and she saw the sternness and the solemnness of the DMZ, the demilitarized zone there on the 38th parallel in Korea. Those people are serious as a heart attack. But all of the military use our anthem, our use USA, ships coming home, exchange of command, retirement ceremonies, boot camp. They play it everywhere.
There's a lady that I know, and I know you run into a lot of people, but her name was Deb Tanish. She is a Gold Star mom. She lost her son Patrick in Iraq, I believe, back in 2004. She had a chance to meet with you, and it was a great moment for her meeting you, and she's a huge fan, and she always remembers all your service and appreciation that you have for the military.
Well, we are so sympathetic of the loss of Patrick and close Gold Star families. Whenever they make that request at any venue, I always meet with them before the show, and then try to fight back tears and get on stage and be happy. You know, it's a little tough, but they certainly deserve our attention and deserve our congratulations for a job well done, and give them hope and spirit and the fact that they will never be forgotten.
You got a brand new album out. Michael McDonald and Kenny Loggins are a part of it. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's called I Want to Be in Your World. I wrote 3 of the songs on it, and one of the songs I did not write was written by Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald, and Michael lives here in the Franklin, Tennessee area where I live, just south of Nashville. And so when we went in the studio with his song, my producer called him and asked him to come play the piano for me. So he did, and it was just him and piano and me singing next to him. And it was kind of, I'm such a huge fan, you know, of the old Doobie Brothers and all that, and Michael McDonald's sound, that it was just thrilling to be able to do that. It's called You Can Let Go Now.
When was the last 4th of July that you had to yourself? Do you remember when you celebrated the 4th of July without being at an event?
Well, it would be before 1981, because I started recording at MCA then, and I played every 4th of July since then. And most Labor Days and Memorial Days and most New Year's Eves. I'll be outside of Chicago for New Year's Eve this year.
Well, we do appreciate you stopping by South Georgia, Lee, and we'll look out for you as far as some things that we can check out on TV, some of those dates that you mentioned earlier.
Well, thank you, and on behalf of my wife, Kim, who directs the Miss Georgia USA pageant and Miss Georgia USA teen pageant in Cartersville, we are big fans of Georgia, and thank you in Baxley for supporting the candidate of your choice. Make sure you get out and vote.